Hi, good morning, Linda. Hello. Am I audible?
Voice is echoing.
Okay.
Recording is on.
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
Pleased to connect with you.
Yeah, same here. It's really my almost utmost pleasure to connect with you.
Exciting times.
Yeah, so true. Are you ready? Do you want to start now?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, perfect. Let me just start. Yes. Okay. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 4 of Desi Dialogues. My name is Akriti Kumari and today we are an initiative. Stop the Desert is an initiative dedicated to raising global awareness around regenerative agriculture, climate justice and land regeneration. Today in celebration of International Women's Day, we are hosting a very special conversation. Our theme is Women Farmers Speak, Leadership, Resilience and Innovation. Women have always been the backbone of agriculture and today they're at the absolute forefront of the movement to heal our planet. To explore this, I'm deeply honored to be joined by Miss Linda Gabriel. Linda is a food security specialist, a permaculture designer, a social entrepreneur, and a poet from Zimbabwe. She is the founder of KwaMasi Cultural Heritage Centre, where she leads initiatives that integrate sustainable farming, climate resilience, and cultural heritage to empower women, youth, and smallholder farmers. Thank you so much, Linda, for being here with us. Um, I think Linda is having issues with the network. Hello, Linda. Am I audible?
Again, I'd lost my signal.
That's okay.
My
That's okay.
apologies.
No issues. I can totally get that. It's okay. Yeah.
Can you
Okay.
hear me now?
Yes. You are audible.
All right. Can you hear this sound in my background? Are you
No,
able to hear it?
no.
Okay, no, because I use solar, so sometimes there's this sound that
Yeah.
comes from it and it can be annoying.
No, it's not audible. I was just introducing you. Should I do that again? If you want, yeah, I can definitely do that again.
Okay, you
Okay.
can do that again so that we have a seamless flow into
Yeah,
the
yeah,
conversation.
yeah. Perfect. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of Desi Dialogues. My name is Akriti Kumari. Stop the Desert is an initiative dedicated to raising global awareness around regenerative agriculture, climate justice, and land regeneration. Today, in celebration of International Women's Day, we are hosting a very special conversation. Our theme is Women Farmers Speak, Leadership, Resilience, and Innovation. Women have always been the backbone of agriculture, and today they are absolute forefront of the movement to heal our planet. To explore this, I'm deeply honored to be joined by Miss Linda Gabriel. Miss Linda is a food security specialist, a permaculture designer, and a social entrepreneur, and a poet from Zimbabwe. She is the founder of KwaMasi Cultural Heritage Centre, where she leads initiatives that integrate sustainable farming, climate resilience, and cultural heritage to empower women, youth, and smallholder farmers. Thank you so much, Linda, for joining us.
Thank you so much for hosting me.
Thank you so much. So let's just dive right into the conversation. So, Linda, for my first question, you wear so many incredible hats, from a food security specialist to a permaculture designer, a social entrepreneur, and even a poet. So, like, to start us off, I would love to hear a bit about your roots and like how did your journey into environmentalism and land stewardship first begin?
And on those many hats, I'm a mother as well.
Yeah.
So you can imagine juggling the different hats. But for me, my work as a poet is what led the way into environmentalism and land stewardship. Uh, all the years I've been a poet, most of my work has just been highlighting the plight of women, and amongst it, all over women around me, and even in Europe, in some places I was also performing. The themes were almost on intersection, and one of the major themes that came out of my work is addressing the issue of poverty. And in my quest on wanting to deal with poverty, because I realized I could get up to 8 years old still being an activist, speaking about the plight of women. But in that moment, I wanted to, an agent of change. I wanted to bring solutions to some of the problems I was highlighting with my work. And in interrogating and exploring poverty, that's when I said farming. But for me, the bigger question was our women, our mothers, our grandmothers have always been farming. So, how is it that we are not then able to eradicate poverty? And I started looking and interrogating our farming methods. And for me, what came like the aha moment for me was we needed to look into sustainable agricultural practices. And that's when I bumped into permaculture designing. Once you get into permaculture, it's a huge onion, layers and layers peeling off. And it was all exciting things and things that, my people, my grandmother, and I think women before were already doing. And it's like, oh my God, we've been doing this, we've been doing this, we've been doing this. So I think for us as well, it's been an issue of when colonialism came in, we then deviated from our own ways of caring for the land, caring for each other, introducing external education and farming practices that then disrupted our own farming systems, our own ways of working and healing the land. So that's how I got into it. Was through my poetry that I wanted something tangible to contribute, not just with words. That's how I got back into farming.
Yeah. Honestly, that is such an inspiring journey. I don't believe that a lot of people can handle so much of responsibility at once. And yeah, you are truly an inspiration for every woman out there and every girl out there. And this ties perfectly into our theme today also, which focuses on leadership and resilience and how women farmers are actually the forefront and the backbone, both of farming and agriculture in this generation. So, like in your experience working directly on the ground in Zimbabwe, what unique leadership qualities and perspectives do women bring to agriculture and community resilience?
I think a lot of the work that women do is not seen, but they are doing it. Women are the backbone of farming. So they are the threads holding together the economy. If you are to look at it here, women are the ones who do all the laborious work. Women are the ones seed saving. Women are on the backbone and at the forefront of farming. The only challenges have been, when you look at, then most of the women are at the periphery of commercial farming, at the periphery of agriculture, at the periphery of almost everything. So for then women, so if we are to then look at how communities are built, this is subtle leadership. Women are leading but they are not on the forefront. And for me, women's leadership roles has been, exactly the way we are doing it. That whilst you are a mother, you are producing. Whilst you are producing, you are also doing cultural heritage. Whilst you're doing cultural heritage, so the leadership is not like boxed or at the forefront that you wear a hat and you walk in the community and say, I am a CEO or I'm a founder. But we do it naturally as mothers. We carry the world in our hands. Women are the ones who think generational. They're thinking of children, they're thinking of nutrition, they're thinking of health, they're thinking of land itself. So I think continuously women are leading, but it's just that we don't put all these titles in everyday life. Women are the knowledge keepers. They're the ones who also pass it on. So these are all the forms of leadership that is not really given a title, but continuously for us to have food on the table. There's a woman somewhere who would have led. For us to go to school, for us to have a nutritious meal, a mother would have to make a decision. It's the role of women to see what would the children eat at the end of the day. So if you are to think of this, they're consistently making leadership roles and decisions.
Yeah, so true. I really love that perspective. I really do agree with that point that women, and especially as mothers, they are both very powerful, a powerhouse in the house also, and in the professional field also, where they are working for working for their children, and then providing for them also. Yeah, they are definitely the powerhouse and the backbone of the society in general. Coming to that point only, adding to that, at Stop the Desert, our core focus is on the urgent need to restore degraded land and promote climate justice. So, since you are an expert in permaculture, could you share some specific ways you are using permaculture to heal the soil and build climate resilience in your community?
One of the things I really love is when I say waste is gold. When we turn, food scraps, when we turn leftover food, when we turn, the grass that most people just cut grass and do away with it. But when you turn that into compost, into mulching, organic soil building, I tell my friends that, look, I'm able to create my own soil through compost, because what I've been doing, especially at my homestead, is I've been building raised beds. So when I tell people, you will not see a pit where I've dug soil, but all these raised beds are filled with soil. It's because we are doing soil regeneration. We are creating our own soil from waste, from locally sourced materials, from leaves, from grass, from all these things. So soil regeneration is one of the things that really excites me, when you create soil from just waste, which also then talks about waste management in the long run. Another thing that really excites me and that I've been trying to work and teach the women I work with around here is water harvesting systems and grey water systems. How are we using water? What are we doing with it? So digging up swales and contour planting to capture rainfall, and just making sure that every drop of rain matters. Like on this homestead, I've just recently built a composting toilet. That alone is one way of saving water. Another thing that I'm really interested in, that I've been practicing, is also agroforestry, where we've been combining crops with trees and a little bit of livestock. And I believe in polyculture. Monoculture hasn't gotten us anywhere, and it is time to really focus on biodiversity. And for me, indigenous seed preservation, I think, is the way to go. I always think of my grandmother when on almost every day, because she had ways of saving seed. And these some of the seeds that now, if you are to look at GMO seeds, where we want to go really, if we are then able to propagate and preserve indigenous seed, it works well for smallholder farmers, for smaller communities, for small households.
Thank you so much for that inspiring point about and the different methods that you are experimenting on and you are continuing with. I believe that it will be a success, and we will definitely have more of that in the future and more of that to talk about in the future. And obviously, healing the soil is definitely one part of the equation, but supporting the people working that soil is just as critical. And you focus on a lot on empowering smallholder farmers. So, like, what are the biggest daily realities or challenges these farmers face right now due to climate change, and how does your work help them adapt?
I think not just for smallholders alone, but the world, as a whole village, it's the unpredictable weather patterns. Sometimes the rains come late, they stop early, or they fall too heavy, or just short bursts, right? And it can be way too hot. And one of the things that I've always encouraged people or young farmers here is to simply mulch. The difference of when you mulch your gardens, it works wonders because you're retaining moisture from the mulch. At the same time, the soil is covered, so you can actually preserve a bit of moisture, and at the same time the sun doesn't hit direct on your soils. So that's one. So when we also encourage farmers to focus on small grains that are drought resistant, that also works. And the other challenge is also limited access to financing. Some of the work that I really want to do in this community requires a bit of financing. And right now, we are on a startup phase where we've been trying to fundraise alone, just to do that. So, for instance, imagine if I'm to have finance to put up a solar drying unit within my community. Then we're able to deal with post-harvest losses. We're able to do sun-dried fruit and vegetables. And that alone is income generation that the women could actually use in their projects or in their livelihoods. Also, for me, another thing has been, a lot of work that we do is very technical. When we talk about climate change, we're using technical terms, but already community-based solutions are the way to go. They will know it's hot, so they will know what to do, right? But then when we bring in technical language and jargon, sometimes it's things that we need to move away from and find out without on indigenous knowledge or local language on what does it mean when it gets hot, what do you do when there is little rain, what do you do, so these are some of the things that I'm really looking into in terms of shifting from vulnerability to resilience.
Yeah. Definitely. I definitely agree with that point. Those challenges are definitely financial challenges, and just a lot of roadblocks do come in the way when we start a different project and we start an approach to more further development, and especially in the field of agriculture, where we are fighting against nature and also against system. So it's a very long fight, and it is very motivating of you, honestly, to keep moving towards the fight and to keep coming up with new ways to like fight it and to save the earth and save our society. Your approach to these challenges is also comprehensive, especially with the work you do at the KwaMasi Cultural Heritage Centre, and how you beautifully integrate sustainable farming with heritage-based education. So, like, I had this question that why is it so crucial to root ecological restoration in cultural heritage and local storytelling?
This is quite interesting for me, hey? You can never work with the people when you ignore their identity and culture. For me, land informs who we are, right?
Yeah.
So for me, imagine if a story is told, but you don't know of the origins, you don't know of the people, you don't know of the soil, you don't know of who was there before you. That doesn't make sense. This is why sometimes, your top to bottom approaches haven't really worked in terms of, development work. It has to be from bottom up approach. So the people itself and everything that we do really goes back to the land. Look at how much um, diseases have spiked over the last years through synthetic and synthetic fertilizers and chemicals. And when we use herbicides and insecticides to cure weeds, right? But we are not even thinking of what that does into the ecosystem, that they are living organisms that we do not see that actually benefit. So when you then spray and you're saying you are dealing with weeds in the long run, look at how much the extinction of bees, right? It's all these little things. So when we tell stories through storytelling, we are then able to speak to the heart of the people. I think for me, we are at a point when we need to look at everything in relation to each other. And this is where, for me, through song, through dance, through interrogating the land, we are then able to start embedding stories of stewardship, to stories of how do we then, it's easy when you work with storytelling to say, okay, how am I stepping on the land? What am I doing with plastic bags? What am I doing with empty bottles? How do I do this? This is also why my work is very community rooted and very small spaces, because I believe it begins with one household, the next neighbor, another neighbor, and before you even know it, you have a whole community that understands where we want to go and where we want to return.
Honestly, I really agree with that point. I think in our childhood, we have all heard that term where saving just one drop of water will save the whole environment, but nobody listens to that thing. So, yeah, definitely just saving your household or changing your own opinion, our own opinion, and our household, and then our society will definitely lead to a bigger change. And hopefully, more and more people do follow that. Motto and do try to save the climate and do use both their heritage and the technological side and make changes and changes in the climate and help save desertification that is happening right now. Speaking of storytelling also, alongside your work in the soil, you are also a poet, as we were talking about the different poems that you have written and the songs and the dances, and that you were talking about your cultural heritage side. How do you use poetry and creative expression to advocate for the environment through your poems? And like, why do you think creative expression is important in the broader climate movement?
So, like I said before, climate change policy, how do I feel art has the impact of reaching to people emotionally in ways that reports and scientific terms cannot do. When you look at policy documents, when you look at them, you're like, oh, how do I explain this to a grandmother? How do I explain? Look, I live in the village and I'm surrounded by even younger women who are younger than me, but we have not, gone beyond primary school. So how do you then? It is through art, it is through poetry, it is through music and dance that when we then connect with people and look at regenerative agriculture in ways where it has to be exciting. When I work with kids, how do you come in with a big term like climate change to toddlers, to kids in primary school, right? So for me, this is what art allows me to do. It allows me to break down these terms into more like humanly or a humanity form, where you bring in storytelling, you bring in culture and tell stories of, it's easy to talk about the dam or the river drying up. It's easy to talk about the sun setting, and then, for policymakers, they know what they're doing. But for us, then the easier way or entry point is through arts, is through creative spaces.
Very true, Linda. I really, really hope that I get to maybe come across some of the really good poems that you have written and see how and actually experience that movement myself. And yeah, but as I was saying, talking about this, in your opinion, how do you think these poems and these dances, if people are talking about it more and more and talking about their culture, will it be really helpful in the long-term movement as well?
All we can hope is we are trying and we are doing. Impactful work, it can be years. So for me, I've never been really concerned about numbers. We can do 200 workshops, reach out to 3,000 people. But at the end of the day, it could be a group of 10 students who go back home and implement bin separation. For me, that's change. So what we certainly do is, for me, is I'm always hoping that the work will reach to someone. As much as I would want, like, my whole community to wake up tomorrow, composting, mulching, doing waste management, recycling, upcycling, but it's also work that I've come to terms with, and I'm now very at peace that it's individual work. And that's why also a lot of my focus in the last years and years coming has really shifted to working with children. It's easy to work with children. You know how the old adage says it's difficult to train a new dog new tricks, but rather let's just look at these puppies and say, okay, if we do it right with our children, these are the future leaders that we want, right? So this is why a lot of my focus now is more on working with kids as compared trying to convince adults, that look, you could do simple things like bin separation, which changes a whole lot of, it's a game changer in terms of waste management. So for me, my focus really is on if we can't do it right now with adults, let's then invest in our children.
Yeah, I really agree with that point, Linda. Thank you so much for your very incredible work. And as we look to wrap up our time together, I really want to look forward to more and more things that you come up with, and hopefully more and more people get motivated by your work and by this video, and actually take the step forward that we need for our climate. Also, there's one last question that I had. Is what gives you the most hope for the future of food security? And like, for our global audience tuning in today, what is one actionable step that they can take today to support this movement?
So for me, what gives me hope is actually the growing movement of farmers communities in regenerative practices. For instance, look, I'm in Zimbabwe, you must be in Denmark, right? And
Yeah.
here we are